All right, let me talk to y'all for a minute. Picture this. There's a man, and this man ain't living right. I mean, he is way, way out there. He's not living in a house. He's not even sleeping on the streets. No, this brother is living in a cemetery. He's out there among the tombs day in and day out. Can you imagine that? The Bible says he was possessed by a legion of demons. That ain't just one or two problems. That's an army of trouble living inside one man. He's a walking catastrophe, a one-man wrecking crew. People in town were terrified of him. They tried to help him, sure, but their help didn't work. They tried to chain him up. They put shackles on his feet and chains on his hands, thinking they could hold him down. They thought they could contain his madness. But every single time, he snapped those chains like they were nothing but little bitty threads. He broke the shackles right off his ankles. See, the power that had a hold of him was stronger than any Iron Man could forge. He was untamable. He was out of control. He spent his days and his nights screaming, crying out from the mountains and the tombs. So here he is, this man in the middle of his daily torment, screaming, breaking things, living like a wild animal. It's just another day in his own personal hell. But then, something different happens. Something shifts. He looks out over the water, the Sea of Galilee, and he sees a boat coming. Now, boats probably came and went all the time, but there was something different about this one. On this boat was a man named Jesus. And when Jesus stepped off that boat and onto the shore, everything was about to change. The man from the tombs saw him from a distance, and something inside him, something beyond the chaos, recognized that hope had just arrived. He runs. He fell down at Jesus' feet. Now think about that. This is the same man who broke iron chains, the same man who terrorized a whole region. Nobody could get near him. But when he saw Jesus, he didn't fight. He didn't run away. He ran to him. Now, let's look at what happened next, because this is the part that gives me chills. The townspeople, they heard all this commotion. They heard about the pigs running off a cliff. That's a whole other part of the story, but trust me, it was dramatic. So they came running out to see what in the world was going on. They were probably expecting to find that same wild man, maybe even worse than before. They were bracing themselves for more chaos, more madness. But what they saw instead completely blew their minds. It stopped them dead in their tracks. It was a sight so unbelievable they could hardly process it. There he was, the man. The very same man who used to run around naked and screaming. But he wasn't screaming anymore. He wasn't naked. He was fully clothed. He wasn't cutting himself with stones. He wasn't breaking chains. No, he was sitting there right at the feet of Jesus, perfectly calm and peaceful. The Bible says he was in his right mind. Can you imagine the shock? The man they had all written off as a lost cause was sitting there looking like a completely new person. So after all this happens, the man, now healed and whole, has one request. He looks at Jesus and says, "Let me go with you." And who can blame him? The man who just saved your life, who gave you back your mind, who rescued you from a living hell. Of course you want to stick with him. It makes perfect sense. He wanted to leave his old life, his old town, all those bad memories behind. He wanted to follow the source of his newfound peace. He was ready to leave the graveyard for good and start a new chapter. He saw his future in following Jesus, and he was ready to get on that boat and sail away. But Jesus looked at him and said something surprising. He said, "No." Now hold on, that sounds harsh, don't it? But listen to the rest of what he said. He told him, "Go home to your own people. Tell them how much the Lord has done for you, and how he has had mercy on you." See, Jesus wasn't rejecting him. He was giving him a mission. He was giving him a purpose. His job wasn't to run away from his past. Now, I want you to listen to me real close. You might be hearing this story and thinking, well, that's a nice Bible story, Steve. But I ain't living in no graveyard. I don't have a legion of demons. But hold on. Maybe you do. Maybe your tomb isn't made of stone. Maybe your tomb is made of credit card statements. Maybe it's a mountain of debt that you can't see the top of. Maybe you're living in a financial graveyard where all your hopes and dreams have gone to die. You feel chained down, not by iron, but by interest rates and late fees. You're trapped, and you can't see a way out. Think about it. When you're in that much debt, it controls you. It dictates your every move. You can't sleep at night because you're worried about the bills. You scream, not out loud, but inside your own head. The phone rings, and you're scared to answer it because it might be a collector. You feel isolated, just like that man. You can't tell your friends or family how bad it is because you're ashamed. You feel naked and exposed, like everyone can see your failure. You're cutting yourself off from relationships, from opportunities, from joy. So you're in this financial tomb. It's dark, it's lonely, you feel like it's all over. But like a boat sailing to shore, hope can arrive. Your Jesus moment might not be a man walking on water. It might be a moment of clarity. That rock bottom moment when you get sick and tired of being sick and tired. You fall on your knees, literally or figuratively, and say, I can't do this anymore. I need help. I surrender. That is the beginning of your miracle. You stop fighting the storm alone and turn to a higher power, finally opening up to someone you trust. Admitting to your spouse the real extent of the debt. Calling a financial advisor. Calling a credit counselor. Walking into a support group meeting. Run to the help, not away from it. Run toward your solution even if it's scary. Be willing to expose the mess. Say, this is my legion. This is the army of bad decisions and habits. And I need them gone. After the man was healed, he was a new person. The old tools of his destruction, the chains, the stones, were gone. When you have your financial Jesus moment, you have to do the same thing. You gotta destroy the tools of your own financial destruction. You can't just say you're going to change, you've got to take real physical action. It's time to break your own chains. Get out those scissors. Cutting up every single one of your credit cards. Don't just hide them. Don't just put them in a drawer. Destroy them. Snap them in half. That is you, breaking the shackles. If your legion is a gambling addiction, your chains are the apps on your phone. You have to delete them. Not just move them to the last screen. Hold your finger down until it jiggles and hit that X. Get rid of them. Block the websites. Unsubscribe from the emails that tempt you. You have to be ruthless with this stuff. You are casting out the demons. Now listen, this is the most important thing I'm going to tell you. After the man was healed, Jesus gave him a mission. He told him to go back and tell his story. He didn't tell him to go hide in shame. He didn't say, don't tell anybody about that whole tomb situation. No. He told him to use his past as a tool. He turned his mess into his message. And you have to do the same thing. The worst financial mistakes you've ever made, the deepest hole you've ever dug for yourself, that does not have to be the end of your story. It can be the beginning of your testimony. Your past does not define your future. Let me say that again. Your past does not define your future. The person who is drowning in debt is not the person you have to be tomorrow. The person who couldn't control their spending is not who you are for the rest of your life. That was just a chapter in your book. It ain't the whole story. You get to write the next chapter, today, right now. You can decide that your comeback story starts this very minute.